Hi Titus. 13.9, speed, distance, and time. We're going to use proportions to do these. I'm kind of ignoring what the book does, and I'm just going to show you my way. But before I start, I want to do a little review and do a problem that you didn't see. So the three different kind of percent problems. You're finding the is, or the of, or the percent. So what is 70% of 40 is over of, percent over 100. The percent always goes over 100, so 70 goes over 100. The of is 40, so we don't know. Slash my one set of zeros, which is dividing both by 10. And that's just times 4 times 4. X is 28. 28 is 70% of 40. 240 is 8% of what number? Now you're finding the of. So the 8 goes over 100. 240 goes on top. And this is just times 30 times 30. So X equals 3,000. 240 is 8% of 3,000. 10% would be 300. 1% would be 30. So 8 times 30, 240. I'm right. I know I'm right. Now what if you have finding the percent? 16 out of, or 12 out of 16 is what percent? So 12 is your 16. And this, since I'm finding percent, I do a P, not an X. And that reduces 3/4, and I just know that 3/4 is 75%. I could have crisscrossed and it had 4P equals 300 divided by 4, but anyways, you get 75. But you gotta make sure you put your percent when you're finding the percent. That's why I do P, all right? You could have made this a decimal, 0.75, and then just multiply by 100, which is 75%, right? Anyways, I want to show you one think Bob here, proportionally, which means the line's going to go through the origin, which means you're starting with nothing. Bob starts with no money, and he's saving $3 every 2 days. This is your rate. You could have a ratio or a rate, and if it's proportional, that means it starts at 0, 0, and if you divide y by x, you get the same fraction. You get 2/3, which is the same thing as 6/4, which reduces 2/3. 6/9, which reduces it, because you can just go times 2 times 2 or times 3 times 3. These are when the fractions, when you divide y by x, you get the equivalent fractions. When it's proportional, that means it's proportional. When the fractions equal 3 over 2 equals 6 over 4, that's proportional. And that's what happens when you start with a rate, when you have a rate or ratio and you're starting with nothing, right? So here, this is going up by 3, this is going up by 2. The change, triangle y means change in y, and the change in x is 2 every time. So triangle x means change in x, it's 3 over 2. Which is your rate, which is your delta y over delta x. But you know it's proportional because it goes to the origin. You know it's proportional because it's times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. That wouldn't happen on lines that don't go through the origin. And then your equation is just y equals kx, and k is called a constant of proportionality, which is just your rate or your ratio. That goes there. It's just y equals 3 over 2x, which is your delta y over delta x. And then when you go to graph it, here's 0, 0, and if I graph over 2 up 3, there's my point, and I could graph 4, 6, but my slope is here's my run and here's my rise. Slope is rise over run. It's 3 over 2. Which is the same thing as delta y over delta x, which is my coefficient of x in my equation, which is my rate in my words. But there's thinking Bob, just proportions. When you're starting with nothing, you're going through the origin, you're just times 2 times 2 or times 3 times 3. Or when you have an equation with y equals something times x and you don't have plus or minus anything, this is proportional. And that right there is going to be your slope. You're just going to go over 2 up 3, and you wouldn't even need a table. And you could draw your line just from that. I could put a 0 and just go over 2 up 3 and draw my line. So there's that. All right, now for lesson 13.9, speed, distance, and time. I'm just doing proportions here, all right? So I got feet per second. So if I'm going 7 feet per second, that's 7 feet every 1 second. And then how far will I go in 12 seconds? I can crisscross or just go times 12. I'll just crisscross. This is x equals 84. So it's 84 feet. You'll go 84 feet in 12 seconds. I just did crisscross. Number 6, you got miles per hour. Well, I'm going 330 miles per hour, which is per 1 hour. And then if I go 165 miles, how long is that going to take me? Well, isn't that just divide by 2? So I'm going to divide by 2, which is a half an hour. I could say half an hour, or I could say 30 minutes. Whichever way I want to say that. Number 9. You have the average speed. Find the average speed when you're going 270 miles in 3 hours. So I'm going 270 miles in 3 hours. My average speed is how much for 1 hour? Well, 27 divided by 3 is 9, so this is 90, isn't it? My average speed is 90 miles per hour. That's my average speed. Number 12 is, so there, I kind of skipped that first part. You're going average speed of 12 miles per hour. So 12 miles every 1 hour. How long is it going to take you to go 24 hours? There's my x. Well, that's pretty easy. That's just going to be times 2. Times 2. X equals, it's going to take you 2 hours. Make a circle, obey the circle. Number 15, miles per hour. If you're going 50 miles in 1 hour, how far will you go in 60 minutes? Well, that's 1 hour. This is kind of a stupid question. That's going to be 50 miles. It's just kind of duh. Number 18, you have miles per minute. I'm just going to say miles per hour. You're going a half a mile in 5 minutes. Well, 5 minutes out of 60 minutes, what fraction is it? Because there's 60 minutes an hour. That divide by 5, that's 1/12. So that's 1/12 of an hour. Equals, so I'm trying to find my rate, which is just going to be miles per hour, right? So I'm just dividing. Right? It's 1/2 divided by 1/12 is 1/2 times 12 over 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. That equals 6, so x equals 6 miles per hour. That's going to be my average speed. Number 21. You're going 21 feet per 1 second. So how far are you going to go in 15 seconds? Well, that's just times 15 times 15. Or just crisscross. You got to do 21 times 15. You get 315. So x equals 315 what? Feet. So I make my circle to know where to stop, but I also make to put my numbers in letter, but I also make my circle. When I'm done, I can say x equals 315 what? Oh, feet. So you don't get lost at the end. And last one here, you got kilometers per hour. So you're going 70 kilometers in 1 hour. If hours, that's 30 minutes, that's a half an hour. So x, that's just divide by 2. So I'm gonna divide by 2. X equals 35 what? Kilometers. Groovy? All right, that finishes chapter 13, buddy. Love you.